They don't come at you with knives. They come smiling, flattery sharp as a scalpel, pretending to care while quietly mapping every weakness in your armor. Narcissists are not impulsive monsters. They're strategists, parasites in suits, puppeteers who feed on your doubt, your empathy, your willingness to explain yourself. You think you're being kind. What you're being is bait. Every compliment is currency. Every accidental insult is a test. Every moment of silence is calculated. You're not in a relationship with them. You're in a game you didn't know you were playing, but that ends now. This is psychorhythm, and you're about to learn the 7 smart ways to outsmart narcissistic manipulation tactics. Not with anger, not with emotion, but with cold, surgical awareness. Because when you can't be manipulated, you become a threat. You become untouchable. And if that's what you want, comment this below. Cold eyes, warm heart, iron will. Say it and mean it. Because today, we start erasing their control. Today, we flip the game. No mercy, no apologies, just power. Number 1. The narcissist's addiction. The narcissist doesn't want love. Don't confuse it. What they want is control, and they feed off something darker, supply. This isn't attention in the usual sense. It's not admiration for who you really are. It's validation that reinforces their fantasy of superiority. They don't need your love. They need your emotional response. That's the trap. They provoke you, not because they're careless, but because your reaction proves you still care. Praise them, they win. Argue with them, they win. Cry, defend yourself, seek their approval, they win. Even your pain becomes their fuel. But if you learn to detach, if you learn to be calm, clear, and unshaken, you cut the cord. They'll notice the shift. First, they'll test it. Maybe guilt, maybe rage. They'll dangle fake apologies or play victim. Don't chase it. Don't correct it. Don't try to fix them. That's how they rehook you. Instead, starve their illusion. Stop supplying. Let your silence speak volumes. It's not about ghosting. It's about emotional discipline. Imagine walking through a storm without flinching. That's what it feels like when you no longer hand over your peace for their chaos. That's where your power begins. When you master the ability to stay internal, stoic, observing, grounded, they become predictable. And predictability is weakness in a manipulator. They can't twist what they can't access. This is rule 1. Don't react, don't feed, don't flinch. Comment this below if you're reclaiming your emotional energy. I feed no illusions. I move in silence. Say it, own it. Let your presence become untouchable. You don't run, you don't chase, you watch. And that unsettles them more than any word ever could. Number 2. The gray rock principle. Narcissists don't chase people. They chase reactions. They don't need you to agree. They need you to feel. Anger, shame, guilt, excitement. Anything that confirms they have an emotional grip on you. So what happens when you give them nothing? You become the gray rock. Unremarkable, unreadable, uninteresting, not dull, not passive, strategic. When they bait you with drama, give no spark. When they twist facts, give no correction. When they fish for compliments or push your buttons, nothing. Your tone is flat, your face neutral, your responses minimal. Your presence becomes a wall they can't scale. This isn't weakness, this is tactical silence. You're not suppressing your emotions, you're mastering them. You let the storm rage, but inside, you are steel. The gray rock method works because it bores them. It denies them emotional oxygen. Without chaos, their script falls apart. But let me be clear, this isn't about being emotionless. It's about control. You show depth only where it's earned, never where it's demanded. You don't let predators know your heart. You let them face the wall and wonder what's behind it. Use this rule in conflict, in conversation, in moments where they expect the old version of you, the apologetic, the emotional, the reactive. Let them meet silence. Let them feel the disconnect. Comment this if you're ready to disengage with precision. I offer no chaos. I reflect no fire. You're not cold, you're clear. And clarity, that's a power most manipulators cannot handle. Number 3, control the frame or be framed. In every conversation, in every interaction, someone controls the frame. The frame is the lens through which reality is interpreted. Whoever defines that lens controls the meaning. Narcissists are masters of this. They don't argue facts, they shift perception. They don't attack your ideas directly. They attack the context your ideas exist in. Let me explain. Say you call them out for a lie. They won't deny it outright. Instead, they'll frame you as too sensitive, always negative, or misunderstanding the situation. Now you're no longer defending a truth, you're defending your sanity. That's the frame trap. And if you're not aware, you'll fall into it every time. Your weapon? Frame control. That means refusing to accept the roles they assign you. You don't explain, you reframe. When they say, "You're overreacting," your mind doesn't spiral. You recognize the tactic. You stay grounded. You respond with calm clarity or silence. You don't play the role. You control the setting. This isn't about arguing louder. This is about setting the tone before they even speak. You create the emotional landscape. You decide what's relevant. You define what energy enters the space. How? By establishing three things. Unshakable self-authority. You don't outsource validation. Your view of yourself isn't on trial. Minimal justification. You don't over-explain, ever. When you do, you signal weakness, not reason. Controlled presence. Speak slowly. Hold eye contact. Let silence do the work. The more reactive they become, the more poised you stay. Their chaos exposes itself. Your discipline becomes the frame. You're not winning an argument. You're owning the reality it takes place in. Narcissists fear this, because without control of the narrative, their manipulation crumbles. Their illusions thrive only in confusion. Bring clarity, and you destroy the fog. This also means learning when not to respond. Not every attack needs a counter. Not every insult needs a defense. Sometimes, the most powerful move is to let their tactics echo into emptiness. When they frame you as irrational, needy, cruel, you don't scramble to prove otherwise. You remain silent, poised. And in that silence, their frame starves. You become someone who does not bend to emotional distortion. You become someone who defines the energy of every room you enter. That's frame control, and it's one of the sharpest tools in your arsenal. Comment this below if you're done defending yourself in false narratives. I define the frame. I command the room. Say it and step into it. From now on, you do not walk into other people's games. You create your own. The second someone tries to make you the villain, the fool, or the broken one, you step back, look through the fog, and reclaim the narrative. No anger, no panic, just power. Number 4. The narcissist's time trap. Disengage from the drama loop. Narcissists are not just emotional manipulators, they're time thieves. Understand this. Their most effective weapon isn't just what they say. It's how they keep you locked in a loop, a drama loop, circular conversations, repeating arguments, delayed apologies, strategic silence, emotional whiplash, all designed to burn your time, drain your focus, and dull your edge. Why? Because time is your most limited asset, and if they can dominate your time, they dominate your life, your mental bandwidth, your priorities, your vision. If you're constantly decoding mixed signals, rethinking what you said, replaying moments in your head, you're not living. You're trapped in their loop. That's the point. They weaponize confusion. They leave things unresolved on purpose, so you keep chasing clarity. 1 minute you're the hero, the next you're the villain. You ask for truth, they give you riddles. You seek peace, they create tension. Every time you try to close the page, they add another paragraph. Here's the strategy. Get off the page. Disengage from the loop. Stop treating circular arguments like problems to solve. They're not designed for resolution. They're designed to keep you emotionally invested. You don't win by explaining better. You win by exiting the pattern. That requires brutal clarity and self-command. Here's how you break it. Stop justifying. When you explain yourself over and over, you're not communicating. You're performing. You're playing a role they've cast for you. End it. Refuse the bait. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every insult needs a comeback. When they push, don't push back. Step aside. Time ownership. Set hard time limits on interactions. Not out of spite, but out of self-respect. I've said what I needed to say. That's it. Conversation over. Detach from the need for closure. Narcissists won't give it. They can't. Because closure ends the game. And they live for the game. So give yourself what they won't. Your own peace. Real power is learning to walk away mid-cycle. Let them rage. Let them sulk. Let them accuse. You're not there for the performance. You're not their emotional audience anymore. This doesn't mean you become cruel. It means you become precise. You protect your focus like a vault. No one gets to rent space in your head for free, especially not someone who profits from your confusion. When you stop feeding the loop, two things happen. First, they escalate. Expect it. That's desperation. Second, you start thinking clearly. You feel time expand. You realize how much energy you've been spending trying to fix what was designed to stay broken. You don't fix people who benefit from being misunderstood. Here's a simple mantra. Repeat it when the cycle starts spinning again. Comment it now and claim it. I exit the loop. I reclaim my time. Every second you spend explaining yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you is a second stolen from your evolution. Take it back, all of it. You are not cold, you are clear. You are not rude, you are rooted. This is the discipline of someone who no longer negotiates with chaos. The narcissist lives in the loop. You don't. You move forward, you level up, you disconnect to ascend. Number 5, predictability is power. Study their patterns. A narcissist is never random. They may seem unpredictable, exploding without warning, switching from charm to cruelty in seconds, contradicting their own words. But this isn't chaos. It's strategy disguised as confusion. And here's the truth. If you study them long enough, you'll see the blueprint. Because narcissists run on loops, patterns, scripts. Their behavior is less spontaneous and more recycled manipulation. They follow sequences that work until they don't. Once you begin to observe, rather than absorb, their power dissolves. This is your next evolution. Stop reacting. Start studying. Think like a strategist. Think like a chess master watching the board unfold. When you do, you'll notice the following tactics. Idealize, devalue, discard. First they praise you, mirror you, elevate you. You're perfect, a soulmate. Then cracks appear. Sudden criticism, subtle withdrawal, tension without explanation. Finally, the discard, cold silence, rejection, sometimes temporary, sometimes permanent. It's a control cycle, not an emotional journey. Projection, they accuse you of the very thing they're doing. They cheat and call you disloyal. They lie, then claim you're hiding something. It's a diversion tactic, psychological sleight of hand. Once you recognize it, it loses its sting. Hoovering. Just when you detach, they resurface. I've changed. I miss you. A birthday message. A casual check-in. This isn't love. It's bait. They're not drawn to your heart. They're drawn to your attention. If they can still trigger you, they still own space in your mind. Silent treatment. Not distance. Not healthy space. Punishment. They withdraw affection to create anxiety, to make you chase, to reset the power dynamic in their favor. Triangulation. They'll involve others. Mention someone else who understands them better. Subtly imply you're not enough. Create jealousy, comparison, insecurity. You start competing for their validation, and that's exactly where they want you. Each of these is a tool, a lever, a button to press when the usual controls stop working. Your move? Detach emotionally. Observe behaviorally. When you expect their patterns, you're not caught off guard. You preempt the script. You become unplayable. Think about it. If you know the magician's trick, you don't gasp when the card disappears. You nod silently, because you've seen the wires. That's the kind of power awareness brings. And it's not loud. It doesn't need to be. Power that's real doesn't announce itself. This is what makes you dangerous to manipulators. You're no longer emotionally entangled. You're analytically engaged. You're not arguing, you're documenting, you're pattern mapping. You're watching the replay in real time and making mental notes. And once you see the patterns, something remarkable happens. You predict them, you prepare, you outlast. Narcissists aren't used to being read, they're used to being felt. They rely on your reactions, your need for clarity, your drive to fix the relationship. But once they realize you've moved into observer mode, they lose traction. Their tactics feel empty. Their tricks start to repeat. Their mask starts to slip. You don't expose them, you outlast them. Because once you know the game, you don't have to shout. You just stop playing. That's how you win. Through clarity, through consistency, through composure. So here's your next power phrase. Comment this below and own it. I see the pattern, I break the cycle. Again, I see the pattern, I break the cycle. Say it out loud. Let it imprint in your mindset. Because when you see the script, you're no longer a character in their show. You become the director of your own. Number 6, master the art of emotional detachment. They can't control what you're no longer emotionally tied to. That's the rule. That's the reset. Emotional entanglement is the currency of manipulation, and narcissists are expert traders in it. They know exactly which buttons to push. They know how to provoke you, flatter you, silence you, blame you, and then tell you it's all love. They exploit your empathy like a tool, not a trait. They thrive not on power, but on your reaction to their power. This is why mastering emotional detachment isn't optional. It's survival. It's self-mastery. It's how you win without confrontation, without noise, without effort. Detachment is the quiet weapon they never see coming, because it doesn't look like resistance. It doesn't look like war. It looks like stillness, precision, cold awareness, and it breaks them. Understand, emotional detachment is not the absence of emotion. It's the discipline of emotion. You still feel, but your feelings are not exposed, not manipulated, not negotiated. You choose where they go. You choose who earns access. That choice alone makes you untouchable to the emotionally chaotic. Let's go deeper. When you're emotionally attached to a narcissist, you don't just react, you're conditioned to react. You explain yourself constantly. You fear being misunderstood. You doubt your memory, your decisions, your worth. You start responding to the tone of their words, not the content. That's not love, that's programming. And the only way to break programming is through conscious disruption. You interrupt the loop. You cut the wires. You stop looking for resolution from someone who profits from your confusion. Here's the brutal beauty of it. You don't have to change them. You only have to stop needing anything from them. The moment their approval, their attention, their explanation no longer holds value, the strings fall. You realize they were never in control. They just knew how to make you hand it over. So how do you reclaim it? You start with this mindset. I own my emotions, no one else does. From there, you move like a strategist, not a servant. You stop feeding drama with energy. You stop chasing closure like a drug. You stop trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you. You become the observer, quiet, calculated, grounded. They will notice, and they will escalate. The narcissist can feel emotional disconnection like a bloodhound. They'll sense your detachment before you say a word. They'll test you. Guilt, rage, affection, nostalgia, everything will be thrown at you to rehook your emotions. Don't flinch, don't explain, don't defend. Your stillness is not just protection, it's power. Think of it like this: you are a vault, solid, uncrackable. What's inside, your focus, your peace, your self-respect, has value. You don't open that vault for someone who once broke in and vandalized it. You guard it. And the more you guard it, the more you grow it. Let's get tactical. What does emotional detachment look like in real-world moments? It's refusing to engage when someone insults you to bait a reaction. You don't defend your honor. You let their words collapse under their own weight. It's hearing a false accusation and responding with either silence or calm correction, but never desperation. You don't try to win. You hold the truth like a blade behind your back. It's recognizing when they're using affection as a hook, suddenly kind after periods of coldness, and seeing it for what it is, strategy, not sincerity. It's walking away not because you don't care, but because you care more about your clarity than their chaos. Detachment is freedom. It means you're no longer a puppet responding to their strings. It means you've stepped off their stage, mid-performance, while they're still acting for an audience that left. And make no mistake, detachment takes work. At first, it feels unnatural. Your mind will crave the familiar rush of the emotional loop. That's the withdrawal. Ride it out. Replace their drama with discipline. Replace their attention with intention. Read, train, building focus. You'll find the strength wasn't missing. It was misdirected. You'll also feel guilt. That's normal. That's the residue of being conditioned to serve someone else's emotions over your own. But guilt does not mean you're doing something wrong. Often, it means you're doing something new, something right, something freeing. And remember, you are not cruel for detaching. You are strategic. You are not cold for protecting your peace. You are disciplined. You are not heartless for refusing to play a toxic emotional game. You are powerful. This isn't about revenge. It's not about winning in their eyes. It's about removing them from the equation entirely. It's about becoming unresponsive to dysfunction. You no longer mirror their behavior. You reflect nothing. You absorb nothing. You become the stillness that disorients them. Because narcissists aren't used to people who don't dance when they play music. They're not used to silence, to composure, to someone who doesn't bleed just because they dig. And when they realize you've become immune, they'll either escalate or vanish. Either way, you've won. Because your self-worth is no longer held hostage. Your peace is no longer rented out. You've become sovereign. So if this resonates, if you're stepping into that quiet strength, comment this below. My peace is power. My silence is strength. Say it, and don't say it for them. Say it for you, to mark the point where the game changed. They won't see it coming. They'll still play the old games, still bait, still provoke, still smile through lies. But now it hits nothing. No reaction, no response, no emotional transaction. That's when your power becomes real, not just felt, but embodied. And once it's embodied, no one can take it again. Build an unbreachable identity. Your identity is not theirs to shape. It isn't a prize to be won or a mirage to be manipulated. It is your fortress, built stone by stone from your experiences, your values, and your unwavering inner truth. When you build an unbreachable identity, you create a shield that no narcissist or manipulator can breach. Every tactic they employ falls short because they encounter an unyielding, self-possessed will that refuses to be molded by external forces. This identity is the cornerstone of your power, a power that transforms pain into purpose and chaos into discipline. The journey to building such an identity begins with self-recognition. In a world where others try to define you through compliments that are laced with control or criticisms that serve their agenda, your first act of rebellion is to look inward. Know yourself before anyone else attempts to rewrite your narrative. Understand your values, beliefs, and aspirations with an objective lens. This awareness is not selfish, it is necessary. When you understand who you are, you eradicate any room for others to impose their will upon your character. It is the difference between being a reflection in a distorted mirror and being the unchanging observer behind the glass. Imagine your identity as a fortress. Every experience, every triumph, every hardship is a brick laid in the foundation of your soul. Some bricks are rough-hewn, scarred by past wounds. Others shine with the resilience of hard-fought victories. When adversaries try to scatter these bricks with their words, their tactics fall like weak blows against a wall forged in persistent self-honesty and perseverance. You stand unmovable, unbreakable, because your self-worth is not a variable to be negotiated with. The moment someone challenges it, you rebuild it stronger, fortified by each test of time. This formidable identity demands rigorous discipline. It requires you to continuously guard your values against corruption, to never dilute your sense of self for a cheap compliment or a moment of acceptance. The narcissist thrives when you let them slip into your fortress. They can plant seeds of doubt, sow discord between your inner truths and the image you project. To counter this, you cultivate habits of intentional self-reflection, continuous learning, and unwavering accountability. Practice meditation, journal your thoughts, and assess every interaction with the cold precision of a strategist. Each moment of self-reinforcement is a mortar that strengthens your walls, ensuring that even under relentless pressure, your identity remains immovable. Part of constructing this unbreachable identity is carving out clear boundaries, not as arbitrary lines drawn in the sand, but as deliberate demarcations of what you will and will not accept. These boundaries are declarations of self-respect that tell the world you are not available for the manipulations of others. They might be as simple as refusing to engage in petty arguments or as profound as ending relationships that drain your essence. In setting these limits, you claim the right to your emotional resources and ensure that those resources are invested only in people and pursuits that elevate you. Your identity begins to radiate the unmistakable aura of a person who is beyond the need for external validation, a person whose internal compass is self-calibrated and unshakable. Yet building an unbreachable identity is not a solitary pursuit. It flourishes in an environment of like-minded individuals who respect the strength of your boundaries and the depth of your character. Surround yourself with those who challenge you to reach higher and who mirror back the strength you already possess. Cultivate relationships that are reciprocal, where both parties understand that true connection is built on mutual respect rather than power plays. While you may encounter numerous voices trying to dictate what you should believe or value, the inner dialogue you maintain with yourself must always be louder and more authoritative. In that inner dialogue, you declare your own truths and hold them above the cacophony of external opinions. In the process of building your identity, you also learn the art of embracing vulnerability as a strength rather than a liability. Vulnerability, when harnessed correctly, is not a chink in your armor, but a gateway to profound authenticity. It is in the moments when you dare to be genuinely human, acknowledging your imperfections while affirming your worth, that you radiate the most undeniable power. This balance is delicate. Too much openness can invite exploitation, while too much guardedness isolates you from meaningful connection. The trick is to be selectively open, revealing parts of yourself only to those who have demonstrated they are worthy of such trust. This selective sharing fortifies your identity. It reinforces that you are in command of your inner world, not a passive repository for the expectations of others. Watch closely how the narcissist reacts when they encounter someone with an unbreachable identity. Their usual tactics of projection, triangulation, and emotional bait fall flat because they are met with a quiet assurance that resists manipulation. They try to undermine your credibility, paint you as unresponsive, or trivialize your convictions. But the foundations of your identity are too deep-rooted to be easily shaken. As you continue to build and refine your self-concept, you become less concerned with their opinions and more invested in your own growth. You start to see their criticisms as reflections of their inner chaos rather than as indictments of your character. In this space, you become the director of your own narrative, unbound by the scripts others have tried to impose upon you.